9395. 1-800-721-9395.
An inspiring story for you now of an incredible friendship. Meet Mr. G. He's a goat, recently rescued from the home of a hoarder where he had been corralled and ignored, we're told, for months, all alone, except for his friend, a donkey named Jellybean. When Mr. G arrived at his new shelter, he wouldn't eat and barely moved, and they couldn't figure it out until someone thought he misses his little Jellybean. Mr. G's new owners drove some 14 hours to get Jellybean and bring him back to Mr. G's shelter. He was greeted by a clearly ecstatic old friend who finally ate and was happy again.
Coming up next, it's the O'Reilly Factor, right after a news update from Fox News Radio on FoxNewsTalk.com.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. The VA called out at the House.
Veterans' health is at stake, and I will not stand for a department cover-up.
Republican Jeff Miller chaired last night's hearing. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern live in Washington. That late-night hearing following the release of an Inspector General's initial findings of the VA, concluding inappropriate scheduling practices are system-wide, and in Phoenix, where there are accusations treatment delays led to some deaths, are still persistent.
Do you feel responsible? Can you look in the eyes of these families and say, I accept this responsibility?
Indiana Republican Jackie Walorski posing that to top VA officials who all vowed changes at the health system, but many say it's time for a change of leadership. Several Democrats now joining a growing list of lawmakers who say VA Secretary Eric Shinseki should step aside. Dave. Jared, pro-Russian rebels go on the attack in Ukraine, killing 14 soldiers. Fox News Radio's Jessica Gallagher is live in Kiev.
Dave, rebels have shot down a Ukrainian helicopter during heavy fighting in separatist-held Slavyansk. Ukraine's acting president, Alexander Turchynov, says fighters used a portable air defense missile to bring the aircraft down, and that a general is among the dead, in addition to 14 soldiers. Witnesses heard gunshots around Slavyansk, and a Ukrainian jet was seen circling above the city. Turchynov called for a minute of silence here during Parliament to mourn the death. Dave.
Jessica, they searched the wrong area. Australian officials say a U.S. Navy sub has not found the missing Malaysian plane. They still believe it crashed in the Indian Ocean and will attempt a wider search later. A U.S. Marine behind bars in Mexico since March calls Fox from jail. Sergeant Andrew Tamarisi tells Greta Van Susteren when he was arrested, he tried to tell the officer he mistakenly crossed the border with legal guns.
He didn't seem to care at all.
Tamarisi finally got his first day in court yesterday. After firing his attorney, he claimed trying to get the Marine to lie. Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Carl Lewis for the Will Rogers Institute.
Eat all you want and lose weight. At some point, everybody wants to lose a few pounds. But claims like these are often just too good to be true. So be careful when choosing a diet. Before you start a weight loss plan, please talk to your doctor and do your homework.
For your free booklet, visit the Will Rogers Institute at wrinstitute.org or call toll-free 877-957-7575 and find us on Facebook and Twitter. The Will Rogers Institute since 1936.
President Obama says part of his foreign policy will be to help other countries fight terrorists. He also says al-Qaeda's core has been decimated, a claim in dispute.
With the collapse of the Arab Spring, an arc of instability stretching from Syria to Egypt and North Africa is creating the ungoverned space where al-Qaeda followers can plot locally then globally. Republican Congressman Mike Pompeo sits on the Intelligence Committee.
The threat from al-Qaeda is greater today than it is when President Obama took office. It is this absence of understanding of how America can lead and how we can fight the counterterrorism battle that has led to this increased risk from al-Qaeda in America today.
Well, the president's strategy is to help build regional counterterrorism forces with American backing. Critics say many governments are too weak to carry out the mission or simply lack the will. In Washington, Catherine Hurridge, Fox News Radio.
Well, the president today holds a White House summit drawing attention to the rise of concussions in young athletes. Remember Joe the plumber who gained fame in the 2008 election? He's making headlines again for writing an open letter to the families of the 6 students killed in the stabbing and shooting spree at UC Santa Barbara Friday. In his letter, Samuel Wurzelbacher wrote that while it may seem harsh, quote, your dead kids don't trump my constitutional rights. It was in response to comments from one of the parents, Richard Martinez, calling for stricter gun control laws. Wurzelbacher not backing down during an interview with News Radio 1370 WSPD in his hometown of Toledo.
He wants to use this tragedy to take away our rights and infringe upon our rights. And that's why maybe my words sound a little harsh, but I stand by them.
Wurzelbacher cautioned the families not to be used by anti-gun groups, saying Those groups don't care about the victims, only their agenda. In Columbus, Ohio, Matt Bruning for Fox News Radio. 8 vehicles have earned the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety's highest safety rating for crash prevention systems with collision warnings and automatic braking systems. The 2014 Chevy Impala, the only non-luxury car on the list. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight. There is a whole world known as the manosphere. This is a world that, in fact, has produced a number of mass killers.
So now one guy is blaming the Santa Barbara murders on frustrated men, and another far-left person blaming it on white privilege. You're not going to believe how the atrocity in Santa Barbara is being exploited.
The United States will use military force unilaterally if necessary when our core interests demand it.
President Obama telling the graduating class at West Point that America is still the most powerful nation on earth. But some are skeptical. Colonel Ralph Peters on that.
What was the Civil War about? Couldn't be able to tell you. No idea. Of course not.
Wow, I feel really dumb.
And it's yet another edition of Water's World. Jesse asking about the U.S. military.
You know why you're off today?
Why?
Also, Miller on dirty politics. He wants more of it. And my next big book, I'll tell you what it is. Caution. You are about to enter the no-spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Exploiting the brutal murders in Santa Barbara. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. It's really a shame. Really a shame that some Americans cannot allow the families of the Santa Barbara victims to grieve without politics. There is a time and place to make political points, but you don't do it on the backs of innocent people who were killed in a rampage. But that's exactly what has happened this week. Yesterday, a memorial service was held in California for 6 Americans murdered by Elliot Rodger last Friday. Obviously a heartbreaking situation. These young people did nothing to Mr. Rodger that crazed killer. In addition to the dead, he hurt 13 other people. As Talking Points has stated, there is no way to stop mass murder. No way. Even in countries like Norway, which is very peaceful and has little gun intrusion. A psycho murdered 77 human beings a few years ago. If somebody wants to kill, they'll find a way. But for some reason, crazy ideologues feel they need to exploit these situations. We begin with this woman, Brittany Cooper, who teaches gender and Africana studies at Rutgers University in New Jersey. Cooper is a far-left loon, writing articles that associate Duck Dynasty with racism, that kind of thing. On the net, Cooper writes, quote, "How many times must troubled young white men engage in these terroristic acts that make public space unsafe for everyone before we admit that white male privilege kills," unquote. White male privilege kills? That's just insane. These murders had nothing to do with white privilege. It was some young guy unhinged. He actually killed himself. Is that white privilege too? Ms. Cooper conveniently overlooks that murder is colorblind. In Chicago, thousands of people, thousands, have been murdered in the public space over the last few years. And 70% of the killers are black. 70%, Ms. Cooper. So you, madam, are exploiting the Santa Barbara atrocity and trying to ramp up racial hatred to boot. And Rutgers puts that person in the classroom. And then there's Mark Potok from the Southern Poverty Law Center. He blames the killing on internet sites where frustrated men vent about women.
There is a whole world known as the manosphere of these sites. There are scores and scores of the sites, if not hundreds of them. And the thing that is most prevalent, the thing that's most noticeable about them, is their often really extreme misogyny. But this is a world that, in fact, has produced a number of mass killers.
Misogyny being hatred of women. So, an internet site provokes Rodger into going berserk. We expect more from Mr. Potok than that. The harsh truth is, we're living in a world where more and more people are becoming mentally ill. The reason for that, is alienation, families falling apart, pervasive technology that numbs human feelings, and a culture that too often celebrates violence. Boundaries are broken down, but it has nothing to do with racism or bias against women. It has to do with individuals who are so sick they want to destroy other people as well as themselves. Sometimes those people can be helped, sometimes they can't be. Again, no matter what society does, there will always be mass murder. Always. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction joining us from Washington, Mary Catherine Ham and Juan Williams, both of Fox News analysts. So white privilege caused Roger to murder? You buying that one?
No, I think that's ridiculous. I'm glad you called her out, but I'm going to call you out tonight, Bill, because I know you as a guy who will object to Beyonce and her get in the back of the car sexual lyrics for young girls. I know you a guy who said to me, you know, these kids who get lost in these video game fantasies, that's damaging to their minds and to their values. And so we live, Bill, today in a pornographic culture in Hollywood, in the music, and for us to close our eyes and say, oh, you can't call it out, that's not what caused this, I think that's like walking around with blinders on pretending there's not a real danger in a very much a distorted and dysfunctional culture.
All right. Now let me reply to that because you're raising a very, not complicated point, but an intricate point. These two people, Potok and this Rutgers professor, they're saying cause and effect. Cause and effect. White privilege caused that murder. That's insane. Okay? Anybody knows that's crazy. All right? An internet site where men complain about women caused this guy to kill these people. That's wrong. It's exploitative. The point that I am making and that you pointed out is that the culture of entertainment does affect people. It numbs them.
Yes,
but it doesn't cause murder or pregnancy. It doesn't directly cause it. All right? That's cause and effect. What it does do is it makes the society more cruder. All right? And it desensitizes human beings. But it doesn't cause them. Or why? There's 320 million people. We'd peel off 1 million and they'd be running around killing everybody. Come on.
Yeah, but my point, go ahead, Mary Catherine.
Well, here's the thing is I think you can have a discussion about culture and coarsening of culture and how that affects people without jumping on a political hobby horse that you are always talking about already as soon as a tragedy happens. And I think that's something, not to say that not everybody does it, but that the left is particularly interested in and particularly good at doing. I think it's oversimplified, and I think some of it, when it's not cynical, and most of it is cynical, some of it is because people want an easy answer to these kinds of tragedies, and you're pointing out, and I think rightly and depressingly, Bill, that maybe there isn't.
There is no answer in a free society. Even in a fascist society, you're going to have it. Go ahead.
Here's the other thing about these kinds of incidents is when it does not fit the template of something the left would like to complain about, such as guns or misogyny or video games, and I'm not discounting the fact that this had a virulent misogynist streak in it at all. I'm not discounting that. But what they do is when it doesn't fit a narrative, Christopher Dorner in California and that manhunt, female killers such as this Craigslist killer, for instance, who's admitted to serial killing apparently, and other things along those lines, the Discovery Channel guy who had some environmentalist views, they sort of just shut that out of the discussion of these murders because it doesn't confirm what they want.
The analogy that I made about the Chicago rampage.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right. I mean, this nutty professor in New Jersey, totally discounting the carnage going on for years, committed primarily by young black men. But that doesn't count because she wants to hammer white people.
Well, I mean, it's not a discussion that she's just comfortable having.
No, let's be honest. Let's be honest. What the people who are getting killed are young black people by other young black people. And so she's totally out of it, and we can beat her up all night. I don't want to do that. But I will say this, that Mary Catherine's talking about the left and says, oh, the left is going to use this conveniently when the narrative fits. What is it about the right that the right refuses to hear when the dad of one of the dead children out there says, I don't want to hear from politicians. I don't need any apologies or condolences. Why don't we do something about guns in this country?
Because the gun thing is... Wait. Go ahead. I'll give you the last word, Mary Catherine. Look, the gun thing is a canard one.
Oh, come on.
No, you could ban guns just like Norway has, and you're going to have 77 people dead at one time or another. Mary Catherine gets the last word.
We have constant. We can't even protect our children in this country.
I got the last word, Juan. I got the last word. When it comes down to these big mass murders and indiscriminate killings, the thread that is most common seems to be mental illness. That's tougher to talk about, and that runs up against freedom when you're talking about being able to take people into custody. It's a tough problem. It's not easy to solve, and getting on your political hobby horse, whatever it is, doesn't help the problem.
All right. Good debate, you guys. Thank you. Next on the Rundown, we'll update you on that Marine being held in Mexico and ask a question, why does this kind of stuff continue to happen? Then later, Miller on Dirty Politics. He wants more of it. Upcoming.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sterile bandage, a sandbag, a doctor, a sheet of plywood, a shovel, a bulldozer, a stethoscope, a cement mixer, an oxygen tank, a bed, a house. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact. It can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most: food, medical services, shelter, and other essential supplies. It can help improve the immediate distress and over time becomes a crucial tool in rebuilding schools, hospitals, and homes and getting local businesses back on their feet. A monetary donation is an easy and effective way you can help.
Want to help those affected by Hurricane Sandy? To donate, visit sandy.adcouncil.org. That's sandy.adcouncil.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Now, from the historical audio archives of Fox News Talk.
Yankee great Casey Stengel and Mickey Mantle testified before the Senate Antitrust and Monopoly Subcommittee hearing on baseball.
I was asking you, sir, why it is that baseball wants this bill passed.
I would say I wouldn't know, but I would say the reason why they'd want it passed is to keep baseball going as the highest baseball sport that has gone into baseball, and from the baseball angle. I'm not going to speak of any other sport. I'm not in here to argue about other sports. I'm in the baseball business. It's been run cleaner than any baseball business that was ever put out in the 100 years at the present time.
Well, Mr. Mantle, do you have any observations with reference to the applicability of the antitrust laws to baseball? My views are just about the same as Casey's.
Stay tuned to hear more history as it unfolds before your ears. It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk.
Wealth is more than just stocks and bonds. It's the art of making money. Everyone doing it knows you have to see the opportunity. You have to take the chance. You have to have the passion. I live and breathe this stuff. Real estate, startup strategy, tech, art, wine. I know where the action is. I'll get you access to the minds making it happen. You have to play to win, so get in the game. Watch Risk and Reward with me, Here's Your Bolton, weekdays, only on Fox Business Network. The power to prosper.
Fox Country.
I'm Kirsten McNary. That's Brad Paisley opening for President Obama. Paisley joined the president on his surprise Memorial Day weekend trip to Afghanistan, entertaining the troops at Bagram Airfield before the president's speech.
You can't ride in the little red wagon.
Miranda Lambert giving an online sneak peek of her new album. Platinum is due out June 3rd, and the supporting tour starts in July. Joshua Scott Jones of Steel Magnolia fame stopping by Fox News Radio with an acoustic preview of his first solo album.
It comes from a very emotional place. It's raw, it's emotional, and basically it's a concept record, and it kind of delves into what I've been through over the past 2 or 3 years.
The Healing is out June 3rd. That's Fox Country from Fox News Radio.
President's Choice segment tonight, U.S. Marine still in a Mexican prison after a hearing today. Sergeant Andrew Tamarisi made a wrong turn, drove to Mexican customs, was promptly arrested for having 3 registered guns in his vehicle. He's been in prison for 2 months. It's completely bogus. The sergeant simply made a mistake. So, we'll now apply some pressure on the Mexican government. We would like you to go to BillO'Reilly.com and sign this petition, which we'll send to the Mexican ambassador in Washington. We, the undersigned, are becoming increasingly concerned over the detention by Mexican authorities of Andrew Tamarisi, a citizen of the United States who has been held in jail in your country for the past 2 months. Mr. Tamarisi, a Marine reservist who has served his nation honorably in 2 wars, was arrested in Mexico after he mistakenly crossed the border checkpoint near Tijuana on March 31st. Since then, in spite of all evidence that he entered Mexico by mistake, the authorities of Mexico have not released him. This has created a hardship not only for the young man, but also his family and friends. Therefore, in the interest of justice, we ask the Mexican government to immediately grant Sergeant Tamarisi clemency and expedite his quick return to the United States of America. We will keep the petition drive open on BillO'Reilly.com until the end of the week. Then Jesse Waters will take it personally to the ambassador in D.C. In the meantime, the question is, why does this stuff keep happening? Joining us now from Fort Worth, Texas, immigration lawyer Francisco Hernandez, and from Las Vegas, Raul Lowry Contreras, columnist for Fox News Latino. So, Raul, why does the madness continue? What's in it for Mexico to do this?
Well, I think what happened here is it got out of local control. Usually when an incident like this happens on the border between San Diego and Tijuana, the local guys, they all know each other. They work it out, and the Mexicans will march the American up to the American border, which is about 100 yards from where this incident took place, and just turn him over and say, here, here's your problem. In this case, the new border crossing, that's a new border crossing that this incident occurred in, and there's a Mexican soldier on each lane. And what happened, I believe, I wasn't there, but I believe what happened is that Andrew told the Mexican customs that he had these weapons in the car. The trunk was open, or the top was open, whatever it was, and was seen by a soldier who then reported to his sergeant, who then reported to his officer.
Okay, but all of that, I mean, but now it's 2 months. Come on, Raul, it's 2 months. Everybody knows in Mexico City this is bad. Kerry's even called him, the Secretary of State. Mr. Hernandez, does the Mexican government not understand how badly this hurts their country? Because people aren't going to Mexico. Tourists won't go. The last time we had to threaten the boycott, you know how much money they lose? The Americans going, I'm not going there. I'm not going down there. I am not going there. Okay? And I like Mexico. But I'm not going as long as this culture is pervasive.
But, Mr. Riley, first of all, yes, he's our Marine, and we ought to get him back. Let's do whatever it takes to get him back. But he is one of many Americans that are down there in prison based on some very strict gun laws in Mexico.
It's a mistake. He wasn't a gun runner.
But, Mr. Riley, he never said it was a mistake. And
yes, he did. He called 911. We have the 911 tape. He absolutely said he made a mistake.
If I may finish, you don't cross into Mexico with 3 guns by mistake.
Well, he says he did. And our investigators say it was quite possible.
Don't go to Mexico with a gun.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hernandez. Our investigators went down there, and they said it's quite possible. He called 911. He said it was a mistake. Gun runners don't bring 3 guns in. They were legally registered here. It's insane. And everybody knows
they were registered in Mexico. They were not legal in Mexico.
So what? So what? It's discretion. It's discretion. Look, you didn't answer my question. Doesn't Mexico City and President Nieto understand how this tees off Americans? How angry they get? Does the president not understand that?
Absolutely, and you know what? We sentence Mexican citizens to archaic laws that we have here because that's, unfortunately what happened, but it wasn't intended to be.
6 million Mexicans running around the country illegally here.
All right, Mr. Ray, you're telling me that a veteran Marine goes into another country by accident toting 3 guns not registered in Mexico.
That's what I'm telling you based on the 911 evidence.
Come on, guys, let's get our Marine back. Let's help them.
Raul, do you think it was an accident, or do you, like Mr. Hernandez, think this guy was smuggling 3 guns into Mexico?
No, he wasn't smuggling, and that's not what he's charged with. I do believe, because of the new border crossing, I've been crossing the border for all my life, and at that particular checkpoint, and it's brand new. It's just been open for 2 months. And I believe that, yes, I think it was an accident, although the truth has come out now that he has been down there several times and he knew where the border was. But unfortunately, at that new border point, once you realize that you're in the wrong place, you can't back out.
Well, he was people should understand this. I got to go.
Where you press the button.
All right, you got to go. People should understand this. He was across in Mexico and came back to his vehicle, and then apparently got turned around. Maybe he had a couple of shots of tequila. We won't know. All right, gentlemen, we appreciate you coming on the program. Now, again, when everybody go to BillO'Reilly.com, sign that petition. I want to get a lot of names on there. I want to show the Mexican authorities this is serious business. Directly ahead, another embarrassment for the State Department. Security team promotes a Muslim extremist. You're not going to believe it. And later, Miller and Waters, both causing big trouble this evening. Back is coming right back.
Shepard Smith reporting is a new way to get the news. There's breaking news now on Fox News Channel. I'm excited about this because my role has changed a lot. I'm kind of acting as quarterback, and I get to call the shots. I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about this. We're trying to be game changers. We've created all of this so that we can get news fast, accurate, fair, and balanced. We want to lead the pack. More of today's top headlines from the Fox News desk. Now is the time for Shepard Smith Report. Tune in to Shepard Smith Report weekdays on the Fox News channel.
Major League Baseball is teaming up with orthopedic surgeons to protect pitchers' million-dollar elbows. This year, more than a dozen Major League pitchers have already undergone Tommy John surgery, which replaces the torn elbow ligament with a tendon from another part of the body. Experts say pitchers now throw harder year-round at a younger age, and arms lose elasticity. The MLB hopes to find a solution which could include lower pitch counts for young arms. House Call for Health, I'm Colleen Capon, Fox News Radio.
Hello, this is Michael Douglas. Pneumonia can be dangerous, especially for older people and for those who have diseases like asthma, emphysema, or chronic bronchitis. Fortunately, there's a vaccine that can immunize people against one of the most common forms of pneumonia. If you're over 60 or have a chronic lung disease, ask your doctor whether a pneumonia vaccine would be right for you. It could protect you from a serious illness or even save your life.
A message from the Will Rogers Institute. Visit us at wrinstitute.org.
May I have your attention, please? If you're trying to lose weight, we need your help. We're Final Trim, and we have too much product and too few participants in our nationwide risk-free trial. If you need to lose 30 pounds or more and would like to participate, call now. 1-800-464-1884. Final Trim is a breakthrough in weight loss. Take 2 capsules just once a day and you can experience maximum weight loss, allowing you to shed pounds in days. It uses natural ingredients, making it healthy and safe. If your weight loss with Final Trim is too dramatic, please decrease use and only take 1 capsule a day. Be among the first to call for your risk-free trial. Again, we have too many risk-free trials and too few participants. If you would like to lose 30 pounds or more by taking all-natural Final Trim just once a day, call now to participate in this nationwide risk-free trial. 1-800-464-1884. 1-800-464-1884. That number again is 1-800-464-1884.
Washington Beat segment tonight, 2 hot stories beginning with the State Department Counterterrorism Bureau. It has apologized because apparently it promoted an article by a Muslim jihadist or something. Joining us from Washington, ace reporters Paul Cameron and James Rosen. So, Rosen, what's up with this counterterrorism State Department thing?
All right, so the State Department bill is made up of a number of individual bureaus. One of them is the Counterterrorism Bureau, which, for example, produces the annual country-by-country terrorism reports and so on. Now, over the holiday weekend, a fairly junior person in this bureau, I'm told, tweeted out a link to a website that appeared to show a group of Islamic clerics named the International Union of Muslim Scholars condemning the kidnapping of the Nigerian schoolgirls by Boko Haram. Ordinarily, that would be a good thing and the kind of thing U.S. government would properly want to promote in social media. The problem here was that the link took the user to the official website of Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayyad, a Sunni cleric who, yes, condemned the kidnappings, but who has also reportedly praised Hamas, called for eternal conflict with Israel, and who back in 2004 endorsed a fatwa that equated the killing of U.S. troops in Iraq with the religious duty of Muslims. It was quite controversial when he was allowed to participate in a White House meeting.
What is this guy, then, this fanatical Muslim cleric, what does he have to do with the website?
It's his official website.
It's his website that condemned the guys who kidnapped the girls. But the State Department underling didn't vet the website. Is that what you're telling me?
In essence, right. And the State Department says, obviously, these are not the kind of figures who should be publicized through our taxpayer dollars. They said this is a non-story because the error was swiftly fixed, apologies made online, and that in the future this bureau won't be tweeting out links like this because the vetting is, as you say,
so it was a simple mistake. Now, is this counterterrorism unit the same one that was watching Libya and the Benghazi stuff? Is that the same one?
Well, there were many units of the United States government that were watching Libya and watching Benghazi. If fault is to be found with the State Department, and obviously officially it has been, I don't think it's the Counterterrorism Bureau that would bear that particular responsibility.
I just want to clear that up. Okay, Rosen. Cameron, Cantor, Eric Cantor, tell me who he is and what his view on immigration is.
Well, he's the House Majority Leader. Eric Cantor is a Republican who's up for re-election in Virginia, and he's been under some fire from some Democrats for some things he said about immigration. He has put out a newsletter in his district, a flyer going out to voters, basically saying that he's proud of his stand against the Obama-Reid amnesty bill. There's a bunch of new developments here in immigration, and that's really an important part of what's unfolding on the election campaign. The latest here, Billy, look, there's new news that's unfolding tonight. All right. The president has actually asked the Homeland Security Department to delay the release of its deportation review until after the August recess. It's going to give heartburn to Republicans because they think the president has been inflating his deportation numbers, and it's going to tick off Democrats because they think that there's been way too many people deported, and they believe the numbers and think that they're way too high. It's all part of an immigration deal attempt by the president. This is an election year that's going to be really tough. Tomorrow, the Secretary of DHS is going to testify about delaying this plan. Senate Democrats have already passed the comprehensive immigration bill, but the House Republicans call it amnesty and refuse to pass it.
All right, so that's what Cantor doesn't like. He doesn't like the Senate bill. So, When does Congress go on their massive summer vacation? When do they leave?
They're starting real soon. They're going to take next week off. They're going to take a week off in July. They're going to take the entire month of August off. So delaying the deportation report denies Congress information that they say they need in order to pass
So
this bill.
realistically, and I guess Washington has turned into France now. Everybody's off in August. Realistically, there's really not going to be an new immigration reform law before the election in November. It's just not going to happen.
House Speaker John Boehner has said he has problems trusting the president and his willingness to enforce laws as they're written. Cantor and Boehner have both said that they could do something responsible. One thing they're talking about is the Enlist Act, which would allow undocumented immigrants who come here before they're 15, join the military, get an honorable discharge, and then you can apply for a
They might do that, but
it's not happening after August. It might happen after the election, but even that's a big
Okay, so you essentially agree with me, Cameron, to your shame. We're not going to have a big reform bill
It's an election year. When the candidates can get past the voters and not have to worry about it for 2 years, maybe they'll get something done. Don't bet on it.
All right, gentlemen, thanks very much. Plenty more as the factor moves along this evening. Miller on the mark. Cuban race stuff. And the D-Man also thinks the Republican Party does not play dirty enough. Wow. In Waters' world, the Veterans Edition.
The Revolutionary War. Okay. Did America fight?
Wow, I feel really dumb. Was it the French?
No. We hope you stay tuned to those reports.
Securing America.
Even some who helped author the USA Freedom Act concede it could go further to rein in the NSA.
Let me be clear. I wish this bill did more.
But Wisconsin Republican Jim Sensenbrenner calls it an important first step, ending the bulk collection of American phone records by the NSA and instead keeping those records with phone companies. The feds could only look with a court order.
So that the government can spy on people based on weak suspicions and not on legally established probable cause.
New Jersey Democrat Rush Holt among a coalition critical. Stronger provisions were dropped to win over national security-minded lawmakers like Intelligence Committee Chairman Republican Mike Rogers.
This is a workable compromise that protects the core function of a counterterrorism program we know has saved lives around the world.
It must still pass the Senate. Lawmakers there also split on finding a proper balance between civil liberties and national security. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News Radio.
Tom Sullivan. Why don't we do the exact same thing as the VA loan program, which is guaranteed by the Veterans Administration, do the same thing with their health care, farm it out, and have it guaranteed, the payments guaranteed by the Veterans Administration. You would save a ton of money and get rid of all of these bureaucratic nightmares that they're suffering under in the VA that they're not ever going to be able to fix.
Tom Sullivan. Be a part of it live, weekday afternoons at 3 East, noon West, or get the podcast at TomSullivan.com. Thanks for telling us how much you love the new Fox News Radio app. Not only do you get fair and balanced news, your favorite talk show hosts, and top Fox News Channel shows, you get great features like instant call show buttons, so you won't have to worry about dialing the phone. Access to our Twitter and Facebook accounts at a touch of a finger, plus an alarm, so you can set it and wake up to the news and opinions you need to get your day started. Don't have the new Fox News Radio app? Get it free now at the App Store or at FoxNewsRadio.com.
Want to lose weight? Listen up, because an incredibly effective weight loss supplement is being given out to 100 callers right now. Because it's so potent, please take no more than 1 capsule a day. Be one of the first 100 callers to get a risk-free trial. 1-800-968-5765. Supplies are limited because this product is proven and can cause dramatic weight loss. It's called AF+. Take 1 capsule just once a day as directed, and you can experience maximum weight loss. Pounds in days. It's all natural, safe, and healthy. But if your weight loss with AF Plus is too dramatic, please decrease use and only take it every other day. Only 100 callers are guaranteed to get a risk-free trial. Call 1-800-968-5765. Mayo Clinic research proves that carrying fat in your midsection raises your risk of heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, even cancer. If you need to lose weight, you absolutely must call now. 1-800-968-5765. 1-800-968-5765.
The Impact segment is sponsored by the Quick Silver Card from Capital One. Earn 1.5% cash back on every purchase.
And in the Impact segment tonight, President Obama speaking to West Point graduates about America's role in the world.
By most measures, America has rarely been stronger relative to the rest of the world. Those who argue otherwise, who suggest that America is in decline or has seen its global leadership slip away, are either misreading history or engaged in partisan politics.
President then went on to say that America will take unilateral military action when threatened, but he'd rather have our allies join in. Joining us from Washington to assess the speech, Fox News strategic analyst Colonel Ralph Peters. And I do want to tell the audience we have some breaking information about the VA scandal that I want you to react to after that. So I thought the speech was a little slow. It wasn't. He didn't seem to be fully engaged with the cadets, the graduating West Pointers. And your assessment?
He seemed to be having trouble with the teleprompter. It was an absolute exercise in self-adoration. The thing you just played about America's in most respects, America has been relatively strong, blah, blah, blah. Look, America is perceived as weaker because of Obama's lack of leadership. And then when he said, well, we will take unilateral military action, he immediately qualified it by saying, but we must be nearly certain there will be no civilian casualties.
Right. He doesn't have any heart for it, obviously. Now, you said that we're perceived to be weaker around the world, and I agree with you 100% on that. But we're not really weaker. We still have a massive military machine, our nuclear arsenal, and there's nobody really on Earth who can compete with us militarily, is there?
Well, no, but when you are weakly led, you are weaker. And Bill, I just found some of the claims in this speech absolutely fantastic. First of all, yesterday and today, Obama keeps saying, I've ended 2 wars. Well, that's great. We could have ended the Second World War in 1942 by surrendering to the Japanese and Germans. It's how you end the wars. In Iraq, he threw away the advantage we gained in blood. In Afghanistan, I agree we want a much smaller presence, but you don't tell the Taliban, hey, we'll be all gone in 2 years. And then the worst part of the speech, the shameless part for me, I couldn't believe it when I heard it, was when he claimed that American leadership has provided success in Ukraine. I mean, as he was speaking, Putin was pouring special operators, hired mercenaries, and weapons across the border into eastern Ukraine, which is bloodier than ever. I mean, and by the way, you know what? All that stuff about, immigration on our southwest border, in that whole speech, he did not mention Latin America a single time. I mean, it was appalling if you really listen to it.
All right. Turning to the VA scandal, an Inspector General's report today says the Phoenix allegations are true, that there were veterans denied care, that waiting lists across the country, not just in Phoenix, can last as long as 115 days. So, all of the allegations, it seems, against the VA run out of Washington are true. You've been supporting Shinseki. I have called for him to resign. You say no. You going to stand by that?
Absolutely. Bill, I'll ask you the same question I ask everybody else. You want Shinseki gone? Give me the name of the person who's going to replace him.
You.
You.
No, but you in charge, Peter.
You want somebody to run?
Ralph Peters.
Yeah.
And I'll get the guy up in Maine, Huntington, he'll go with you.
You need somebody who's run large organizations. But beyond that...
Come on. You know if a commander is embarrassed like that, the commander is replaced. You know that. So maybe it's not his fault. It doesn't matter. Under his watch, this is chaos. He goes, bring in new blood.
I'm convinced the VA will never have a better, more dedicated leader than Shinseki. But Bill, let me use this great platform you built to talk directly to Congress, Democrats and Republicans alike. Stop playing politics with this issue. It's about our vets. It's not about your re-election or election campaigns. And by the way, blame Shinseki. Congress holds the purse strings. Congress refuses to reform the civil service regulations that allow this to happen. Congress is supposed to exercise oversight of it. And instead you have somebody like Senator Burr from North Carolina attacking the VFW because they won't call for Shinseki's resignation. And by the way, I don't think Senator Burr ever served in the military. Congress, you're a disgrace.
All right. Now, I'm not going to stick up for Congress because they did have oversight. It's like Barney Frank had oversight on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and Congress booted it too. I think Shinseki's got to go. But this is a very lively debate, Colonel. We always appreciate you coming on. We come right back. Miller on race, dirty politics, and his new special. The D-Man's next. Hey, there's my son. You've been in your room all morning.
Hey, Dad.
Matt, what's wrong with your voice?
There is nothing wrong with my voice.
Oh, well, it's just sort of.
I have been playing my video games and electronic games for so many hours.
Well, it sounds like it might be time for you to take a break, or...
Hello, Dad.
Susan?
I have been watching TV and text messaging all morning. Yay, electronics. Yay.
Guys, I think it's about time to get in the car and take a little trip.
Maybe see some trees, some green things.
One of these green things is become.
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Now, from the historical audio archives of Fox News Talk.
An organization that's still in the news is the United Nations. On June 26, 1945, President Harry Truman commented on his signing of the United Nations Charter, hoping it would bring an age of world peace.
The Charter of the United Nations, which you are now signing, is a solid structure upon which we can build for a better world. History will honor you for it. You have won a victory against war itself, for it is a declaration of great faith by the nations of the earth, faith that war is not inevitable, faith that peace can be maintained. If we had had this charter a few years ago, and above all the will to use it, millions now dead would be alive.
Stay tuned to hear more history as it unfolds before your ears. It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk. They always make their point and push the issue.
We had more outrage for you. You will not believe what happened.
Pounding the facts and weighing every side.
You think the Republicans want to get rid of Social Security? You think that's the platform of the Republicans?
This is The Five. Powerful opinions and straight talk on the most important topics.
The economy is actually suffering.
We're playing word games here. It hurts the American people. It's wrong. Stop it. This topic is now over.
Get in on the conversation. Join The Five weeknights on Fox News Channel.
Almost given up on dieting, weight loss programs, diet shakes, and supplements because nothing ever seems to work? Then we want to offer you one last chance with one great incentive. We want to pay you for losing weight. That's right, we're offering to pay you $5 for every pound you lose. And to help you do it, we'll rush you a free bottle of the incredibly powerful S6 Super Supplement, combining the 6 hottest, clinically proven weight loss ingredients into one amazing super pill. Be one of the first 100 callers, and that free bottle is yours. 1-800-514-6398. Imagine getting paid for losing weight. And with proven fat-shedding ingredients in the S6 Super Supplement, including raspberry ketones, pure Garcinia Cambogia, and green coffee bean, you'll find losing weight has never been easier. Find out how to get paid for every pound you lose with the help of a free bottle of the S6 Super Supplement. Offer available to the first 100 callers at 1-800-514-6398. 1-800-514-6398. 1-800-514-6398.
The O'Reilly Factor, the #1 cable news show for 14 years running.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Miller Time segment tonight. Let's get right to the stage of Southern California. Joins us from Santa Barbara. So, Miller, your close friend Mark Cuban, who owns the Dallas Mavericks NBA basketball team, says he avoids young black men in hoodies and young white men covered with tattoos. For that, he was hammered. And you say?
I would turn the national conversation on race over to Mark Cuban and Stephen A. Smith tomorrow, because I think they have some cojones. And Stephen A. Smith is about to hear the name Uncle Tom more frequently than Cruz at a 4th of July Scientology family picnic. And good for him for having the courage to step up. And, you know, it's easier to make a pro-Cuba statement now than it is a pro-Cuban. So I admire both these guys. Stedman always talks about what cowards we are over there, Eric Holder. But these guys are actually trying to have the conversation. Good for them. I admire them. Because right now we're so hung up. Al Sharpton thinks about code more than Dan Brown when he's on Deadline. All right? It's about time we had somebody who was candid about this.
Now, what was it exactly that Cuban said that caught your attention? I mean, look, I think many people feel the same way. If you see somebody that doesn't look upstanding, no matter how they're dressed, I don't think a hoodie matters, but if they look a little seedy, all right, you know, you kind of avoid it. So why do you think...
I'm not even going to go over the details, Billy. That's where we miss the point. We get mired in the details. If your spider sense goes off and you don't feel safe and you start ignoring that, you're nuts.
All right. I think that's a cogent, pithy statement. Now, the Republican Party has disappointed you, Miller, I understand, because they don't play dirty enough? Is that what you're saying here?
Angle on equals angle off, Billy. I'm an old Machine Gun Joe Butera billiards fan. And one side's playing the Alinsky thing, Sun Tzu meets William Burroughs. Our side's reading the liner notes from Doug Henning's Dream Journal, for God's sakes. And that's why we're getting our ass handed to us like somebody who just got outpatient liposuction surgery. We're Don Knotts in the Fish movie. The only time Republicans play rough is when they wade in on Tea Party people. We got to start using our head and get the jump on these guys. We got to be more clever than they are. Look at Ted Cruz. He got rolled. They're not going to be happy until that guy's in a Dracula outfit hosting Creature Feature on Telemundo late on Saturday night. Cruz ought to come out tomorrow and get them all off his back and say, guess what? I'm here illegally. They won't know what to do. We got to start playing rough like they do, and we're not, and that's why we're in trouble.
No, right-wing talk radio plays rough, though, do they not?
I don't know. I'm on the radio. I don't know if you think of me as right-wing. I don't play rough.
I don't think
my head.
No, you're not. You just speak from the heart.
This country's going in the crapper. We better get the conch shell back. This is Lord of the Flies right now. You don't have the conch, you don't get the top. We don't have the conch right now. We ought to get the conch back. And then when people say, well, if we go down to their level, we'll never come back. Yes, we will. I don't think we're like that. But we better get some power back right now. Because we got a president who is on his 5th time in a row of his most ardent devotees telling you, no, he's not malevolent. He's just hapless. And guess what? He's still kicking our arse all over the lot. 5 times in a row they've had to say, no, he's just clueless. And he's still kicking our arse. And unless we want to give this to Hillary next time through, we better get our game face on.
All right. June 13th, Miller is on Epix, right? Is that how you say it? Epix? It's a TV channel.
Yeah.
What are you doing on
Epix? My friend. I got a special called America 180. It's about how things have kind of flipped. As I often say, Billy, I view society as a log ride at the theme park, and the log is in the flume. I'm not looking to get out anymore. I'm just trying to get a rear middle seat and a plastic poncho to stay dry. I'll tell you how on June 13th on Epix, America 180.
All right, and you get Epix on demand on any cable system. I want to see Miller at 8 o'clock on June 13th.
I've had a catheter put in with Epix on it since I work for them now.
No. All right, Miller, thank you. And D-Man and I would like to thank the folks in Minneapolis and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Boulder Pressure shows there. It's sold out. Still some seats for Rapid City, South Dakota on July 25th and Fargo, North Dakota the next night, Saturday, July 26th. Take Dad for Father's Day. Info on BillO'Reilly.com. On deck, Waters asking the folks military questions on Memorial Day.
In-depth, insightful, intelligent. Get it all. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern to Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News Channel. Every Sunday, Maria's sitting down with the biggest players in Washington and Wall Street, asking the tough questions and bringing a new perspective on the nation's most pressing issues. Every Sunday, tune in 10 a.m. Eastern to Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News Channel. Don't miss it.
The solution to pain may lie in our emotions. Researchers at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago found suppressing anger led to more suffering in patients with chronic back pain. Those who were able to manage their emotions and stress levels reported less pain. Pain management experts hope focusing on the mind-body connection might offer new hope for those who suffer from chronic pain. House Call for Health, I'm Colleen Capon, Fox News Radio.
Alan Cole.
Kim Goldman, he's serving up to 33 years, which seems like a lot for that particular crime. Or do you think they maybe are piled on here because they didn't get him the first time?
I'm going to trust that the judge in that case, followed the law to the fullest extent that she could. But the bottom line is that he committed a crime, and he got caught, and he was sentenced.
Alan Cole. Be a part of it live, weekdays at 6 p.m. East, 3 p.m. West. Or get the podcast at AlanCombsRadio.com/podcast.
If you own a business, you know incorporating can be a smart way to protect yourself and your assets. So the question is, why haven't you incorporated your business yet?
My business? It's too small.
Wrong. No matter how small your business, you run the risk of losing all your personal assets, your car, your home, even your entire life savings if you're not incorporated.
Incorporating is very complicated.
Actually, incorporating is easy and fast. You can do it in just 10 minutes. Call now for your free guide from LLC.com. 1-800-943-5846.
I need a lawyer to incorporate. That's really expensive. listen.
You don't need a lawyer, and we don't offer legal or financial advice. LLC.com is a service company whose only mission is helping people like you incorporate safely, easily, and quickly. Find out how simple it is to protect your family and personal assets by incorporating. Call now for your free guide. 1-800-943-5846. 1-800-943-5846. That's 1-800-943-5846.
I'm back in the book segment tonight, Waters World, the Memorial Day edition. We sent Jesse out to Jones Beach on Long Island to ask the folks about our country's military history. Roll it.
Do you know why you're off today?
Why? America. You know, fallen soldiers.
But who did America fight in the Revolutionary War?
The French? No.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Countries.
Countries?
Yes. China.
China?
Wow. I feel really dumb. Was it the French?
Who did America fight?
Revolutionary War? Ourselves. Whoa, North versus South. The Confederate versus the Union.
That was the Civil War.
Oh.
Britain.
Britain? Right across there?
Mm-hmm.
That's Great Britain.
Really?
What was George Washington's job?
George Washington was one of the presidents.
Which president?
He was the second president after Lincoln. He was general or something. He didn't work with horses, did he?
God bless you.
Thank you, too.
Who won the Civil War?
Not the Confederates. The Northeast or whatever. Us.
Who's us?
Great Britain. Wasn't it the French?
What was the Civil War about?
Couldn't be able to tell you.
No idea.
Of course not.
You should know.
I know, right?
Yeah. Do you remember what the Civil War was about?
Civilization. The North?
You sure?
No, it was the South. I believe the North won that Civil War.
Abraham Lincoln. What did he do? Was he in the North or the South?
He was in the South.
He was in the North.
No, but didn't he live in the South?
World War II. Who did we fight there?
I just learned this too.
You did?
I couldn't meet to the test. My teacher watches this. She's probably going to be real mad. It was the Allies versus the Axis? Vietnam? China. The South.
That was the last question.
China.
Germany and Japan.
Who bombed us in Pearl Harbor?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Yeah. Was it China?
China?
I don't know.
Close.
Korea, right? No, I think Korea.
Not Korea.
No. Russia?
No. Not Russia.
Wow.
Was it the Koreans? Am I getting close? 10.
Very, very good. Who won the Cold War?
I'm not the best historian here, but...
You don't say.
The Russians would. No one. Didn't we just agree to disagree? America and Russia came out together after World War II. We're kind of shaky, kind of frenemies. Frenemies. Was it the French? I feel bad. I'm blaming everything on the French.
I'll say we won because our goal was to stop communism and the spread.
Who did we fight against?
I'll say USSR.
USSR?
Yeah, USSR.
Why do they call it the Cold War?
I think it was cold in Russia, right? Because no one was making advances, right? It wasn't an actual fighting.
Which dictator did the U.S. topple in Iraq?
What do you mean toppled? Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden.
No, we kill everybody.
You mean we bring them to justice?
Yeah, we bring them to justice.
Saddam Hussein. Got him.
Which president took him out?
Oh, that wouldn't be Barack Obama. Obama.
Obama. No, it was Bush?
It was Bush.
George W. Bush? It was George Bush.
Which one?
W. I feel stupid. This is terrible.
You know, it was warm out there. It might have been the sun. Did it possibly be the
brain
sun?
cells a little bit.
Yeah, the best answer was, why did the Cold War? Because it's cold in Russia.
That's right.
It makes sense to me.
My favorite, who did we fight in World War II? The South.
Right. Okay. Well, in southern Germany, there were U.S. troops. Now, people always say that you go out and spotlight the dumbest people you can find.
I mean, come on. I went out and I looked for girls who were attractive. I looked for guys who were drinking. Your average, typical guy at the beach, right?
No, but they weren't intoxicated.
No, it was intoxicated. I got there at 11. So, people hadn't been drinking that long. These people are normal, average college kids.
Okay. But what I want to tell you is that we don't edit out the right answer, right?
But Bill, this could have been 10 minutes long. We have much more where this came from.
Was anybody smart?
One of the girls was 4 for 5.
Right.
Okay, and she was over
one in
here.
the green bin.
Yeah, we ding ding dinged her a lot.
Okay.
And then I think the girl with the song, she was 1 for 5.
1 for 5.
The two brothers, I think, were 0 for 5. They were in trouble.
You know, next time ask them where they went to college or high school.
Some of them told me where they went to college. I don't want to name names right now. Should I?
Yeah.
Maryland, University of Maryland.
Terrapin.
Contingent.
Of course.
Yeah.
It is pretty brutal out there, but this is what, and it's random. You're just selecting them random.
Totally
you don't have a sign. Please, if you're dumb, talk to me. You don't have a sign.
No, I do attract dumb people, but I don't have a sign.
Yeah, you do attract dumb people. I know that. All right, Jesse Waters, everybody. Fact and tip today. My latest history book. I'll tell you what it is. Next.
Hi, I'm Gerald McRaney. Is there anything you wouldn't do to live longer or feel better? You can make a few simple changes in your lifestyle if you knew it could save your life. Take cholesterol. A high blood cholesterol level can cause strokes and serious heart disease. But exercise and simple changes in your diet can reduce cholesterol and make you feel better. For your free booklet, visit the Will Rogers Institute at wrinstitute.org or call toll-free 877-957-7575 and find us on Facebook and Twitter. The Will Rogers Institute, since 1936. Get informed in the morning with Kilmeade and Friends.
The next election, we always hear this, is the most consequential election. But I think when you think about the judges that will be sat, and when you think about the direction of the country, it's more than Democrat or Republican. I think it's personal responsibility and socialistic programs as opposed to you're on your own, let's work it out, and let's reintroduce ourselves to a work ethic.
Kilmeade and Friends. Be a part of it live weekday mornings at 9 East, 6 West, or get the podcast at KilmeadeandFriends.com.
Securing America. Well, an IED attack and severe infection left Army vet Joe Grabanowski in a wheelchair. He never gave up on skydiving.
Well, before even I was wounded, I had dreams of it, thoughts of it.
Joe's motivation is Todd Love, a Marine Corps vet who lost both legs to the hip and his left hand to the mid-forearm.
Being able to be an inspiration to others, it's a privilege.
Operation Enduring Warrior is a volunteer group that introduces high-level amputees who can't be fitted with prosthetic limbs to extreme sports, including skydiving. These wounded warriors can't walk, but during free fall, they feel liberated from their wounds.
Just like that freedom of movement out there, you can move your body in certain ways to actually make you feel like it's flying.
In Washington, Catherine Herridge, Fox News Radio.
Are you afraid of the IRS? Worried because you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes? Worried because you've neglected to file your taxes for a year or more? If you're afraid of the IRS, relax, because you don't have to deal with them on your own. With one easy phone call to TaxCare USA, you can find out what exactly your tax settlement options are. You don't have to talk to the IRS directly. See how quickly it can all be taken care of by calling 1-800-721-9395. Our experienced professionals at TaxCare USA understand how the IRS works and will deal with them directly on your behalf. Depending on your circumstances, you may qualify for a tax debt settlement or other favorable programs. You could potentially save thousands. Get the free confidential information you need at 1-800-721-9395. You don't have to deal with the IRS on your own. Call TaxCare USA before it's too late. Again, for free confidential information, call 1-800-721-9395. 1-800-721-9395.
Time now for the fact and tip of the day. My upcoming book is called Killing Patton, and it will be released on September 23rd. Big announcement in the press tomorrow. The book examines the last few months of World War II in Europe and the very strange death of General Patton. So it's a mystery history. If you think you know what happened to Patton, Roosevelt, Hitler, and Stalin, you do not. I know that sounds bold and fresh, but I think we back it up. As always, if you become a BillO'Reilly.com premium member or re-up your membership, you get the book free, and you'll get it first if you order in advance. So, if you don't like this book, I can almost guarantee it. Finally, tonight's the mail. Tim Forrest, Davenport, Iowa. O'Reilly, you were exactly right on criminology, and Kirsten Powers is wrong. She continues to deny the facts about crime, expecting the audience to buy into liberal wishful thinking. Bob Coy, Vernon Hills, Illinois. O'Reilly, you're a big bully. The way you really push Miss Powers, lighten up. You know it's tiresome, Bob, tiresome, this bully business. Everyone's challenged here. Watch Gentile, watch PBS. Richard Saliba, Dallas, Texas. I've been an inner city police officer for 8 years. Liberals like Kirsten believe they can have both low incarceration rates and low crime. That is fiction. Sam Lutz, Sarasota, Florida. I'm a deputy sheriff. Doesn't get much simpler than the way you put it, Bill. take the worst 10% off the streets for a long time, and crime goes down. Richard Hines, Millburn, New Jersey. Bill, you and Bernie are too quick to dismiss the influence of the media on the Santa Barbara killer. Scores of studies have produced evidence that audio and video exposure have a powerful effect on personal conduct. Then why aren't more people serial killers, Rich? That said, I do believe that harmful entertainment desensitizes people, but it doesn't make them act out. That's free will. Marvin Seaver, Bakersfield, California. Bill, both you and Krauthammer expose the wrongs of the Obama administration, but you never suggest the corrective